Most people think that being authentic online is all about oversharing, making people feel like they're reading inside of your diary. And then my favorite one of them all, where people say things like, just be yourself. Well, if that really were the case, wouldn't your family friend that's always oversharing on Facebook be a viral internet sensation by now? So the reason why this concept is wrong is because authenticity is actually lost between the idea and the execution. The reason why I know this is because I recently was coaching one of my superstar clients, Sarah, who has over 3 million followers across all platforms. Now, I'm helping her create an online course for people to actually go viral. So I asked her this one question and I said, what does it actually mean to be authentic? And she started telling me that authenticity is all about your own original ideas. So I said to her, so are you saying that authenticity is lost in the gap between idea and execution? We dropped our jaws on the call because that is it. So this video is going to be teaching you all about how to actually be authentic online and the 5 things that every content creator needs to infuse into their brand this year to actually build a profitable personal brand. And spoiler alert, this isn't just more cheap advice telling you just be yourself and just be consistent. And number 5 is the most important tip because this is going to be how you can actually put it into practice. So the very first thing I want you to think about is what makes you interesting. So I've been thinking about this a lot because not everybody is interesting. We all have that one family member where every time we talk to them, they don't tell us anything new. They just keep repeating stories of their past. Maybe they're even gossiping about other people, and it's because they're not that interesting. And it's not that they can't be interesting, it's that they're not actually doing things in their life that would make them interesting. So for example, do you read? Do you have any hobbies? Right? So for me, I have so many personal life stories that I share vulnerably online, and we'll get to that tip in a second, but that's what makes me interesting, my own life experience and being able to share about it. Now, another thing that makes me interesting is having a business. Every single day I'm dealing with fires, problems, wins, successes. So what I do is I take a lot of what I'm actually doing in my day-to-day and I bring that online. And once again, I bring these ideas directly to my notes app and then I execute on them when I have deep work sessions and turn these ideas into pieces of content. So tonight, before you go to bed, I want you to whip out your journal and I want you to start asking yourself, why are you interesting? Think about the day that you were born or the last day that you remember. Think about the earliest day that you remember from your childhood all the way up until now. Start writing down the stories, the things that have happened to you, the places you've traveled. There are so many little nuggets of things that people would love to learn about you that make you so unique and interesting. So coming into the next tip, I realized that sometimes everybody's passions are a niche of one. Then the next thing I want you to ask yourself is, what passions do you have? Because when I was first starting with my personal brand back in 2020, I remember one of my first viral videos on TikTok was all about this like inside joke in the spiritual niche. That was the niche that I was in. I was posting about mindset and manifestation and spirituality. And I remember posting it just for me. Like I personally thought it was really funny and it was able to really show that I'm a humorous person. Like in my personal life, I make jokes with people very often. And this was amazing because I got to show the different parts of me that maybe my friends and family didn't even really know about me. So I explored one of my passions in a deeper level. Well, this video absolutely popped off and went viral. And I couldn't believe it because I was like, I didn't know anybody else would actually know about this. And this one is so important, this tip around what are your passions, creating content about your passions, because what's gonna happen is as you continue to grow your personal brand, your passions are going to evolve. The things you love today are not going to be the things that you love tomorrow. For example, I was just thinking this morning that my favorite song was a song from my freshman year of college. And just as of the last week, I made this decision that that's actually no longer my favorite song because I no longer identify with college being the best years of my life. Now, I have a totally new favorite song because I have a different identity. I'm a different woman. So I have a lot of content creator friends, and this is where they tend to go wrong. They burn out, they fall off the face of the internet, and it's all because they didn't allow their brand to evolve while their passions evolved. So action step number 2 is to think about something unique that you're really passionate about now that maybe you never talk about in your content, and go post a video about it. All right, so this next one I'm super excited to talk about because it's something that I'm personally passionate about, and it's storytelling. What are the stories that you have about your life that you can share with the world and someone can find value out of it? Now, keep in mind, value doesn't always mean that it has to be some philosophical learning lesson. It could be entertainment, it could be fun, it could be a memory, right? So for example, another one of my most viral videos was talking about on the first date that I had with my now fiance, I got food poisoning and I was in the bathroom for literally 24 hours straight. And the day after, he asked me to be his girlfriend. And I couldn't believe it. And I was like, wow, this is what true love is, right? Someone who wants to take care of you and who can even love you through your lowest moments. So this story has gone mega viral on TikTok for my brand. Even though it has nothing to do with what I teach, it shows that I'm a human being and I get food poisoning too. But like I said in the beginning of this video, this isn't just about like trauma dumping and sharing your deepest, darkest secrets online. There's an actual framework to telling a story that's going to change the game forever for you and your brand. And there's 4 steps to this framework. The first part is the before, right? So what is the context of the story? Then is the trigger. What is the emotional moment that's going to trigger something in somebody else reading or listening to it? Then the turning point or the realization. And lastly, the after state. So it's kind of like in a movie, right? The hero either overcomes or is overcome. So you have to think about what is that end result that we want to paint the picture of. So actionable step here. What is one story you've been hiding from the internet? I'm not saying you have to go post it right now, but why don't you think about tonight one story that you could share with the internet that makes you human? Because at the end of the day, maybe I'm recording in front of a camera right now, but I'm speaking to you, one specific person that I know is gonna find value out of this video. And I think that's so important to remember because oftentimes when the camera goes on or our phone is on the selfie screen, we get a little bit robotic. So just practice telling your story in front of the camera today. So number 4 is probably the hardest one, but it's one of my favorite TED Talks in the world, is the TED Talk on vulnerability by Brené Brown. So that's actually the tip. You have to be vulnerable. So I know for me, I used to be really worried about what people from my hometown, my family members, my old friends would think about me when I would post content online. And that didn't just hold me back for years and years and years of actually getting started, but it actually held me back from being my fullest self online. And transparently, this is something that I'm going through right now because it's a lot easier to talk about the hard moments after they've already happened. But what about when you're going through them real time? I can promise you, the more vulnerable and open that you are, talking about the things that are truly going on in your life, in your business, in your career, people will value that and they'll also see themselves in your story. No one wants to talk to anybody that makes their life look perfect all the time, right? So there's definitely a level of like, you want people to aspire to be you and look up to you, but you also want to be relatable and remind people that you're human, you make mistakes, and you're vulnerable too. So think today, when you're writing that story that I told you about in the last tip, I want you to think about what is one vulnerable moment that you're hesitating to share, right? What is one thing that maybe you're afraid to say to the camera or write in an email? I want you to just put it down on paper and then give yourself 24 hours. Read it through the next day and see if you change your mind. And if you don't, that's okay. But I want you to practice being vulnerable in your content. So like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, consistency is the most important thing when it comes down to building an authentic personal brand. So number 5, the one that you've been waiting for since the beginning of this video, and probably the hardest one for people to get after, and that is consistency. Because what starts to happen when you're posting content is you could get really excited. Maybe you film 20 videos in one sitting, but then you realize you have to edit them and post captions and do hashtags and all that great stuff. And then you start to get sidetracked, you start to question yourself, you start to say, was this even good enough? But the truth is, the most authentic personal brands are the ones that are consistent. No one's asking for this beautifully produced content all the time. People just want to see who you truly are, and they want to see you consistently so that they know you're a reliable person to trust. One of the biggest issues in the attention economy, the creator economy, whatever you want to call it today, is that nobody trusts anybody. They've already bought the high ticket courses. They've already invested one-on-one with the coaches and they weren't happy about it. So now they're needing to rebuild that trust, and nothing builds trust more than consistency. And I'll share with you a story. When I first started my high ticket online course, the Creator to Cashflow Academy, I originally thought, well, if somebody doesn't buy on the sales call, then they're never gonna buy from me again. But actually, we get people all the time coming back years later, years, not just 1 year, years later, being like, I followed you from your manifestation days. I followed you from the first launch of CCA. And to me, that just shows that consistency is the secret. That's how you're gonna get referrals, that's how you're gonna get longtime buyers, and that's how you're gonna get people to truly trust and buy into your personal brand. Your brand becomes binge-worthy when people can see your evolution in real time happening day to day. So now that you've learned how to build an authentic personal brand, the next step is to learn how to actually make money from it. So what I wanna do is I wanna teach you my cash social media sales system and show you the 4 steps you need to actually start profiting from your personal brand. Go ahead and watch this video next, and you're gonna learn everything you need to know to make money by being yourself.